I just woke up, didn't brush my teeth, didn't brush my hair because I had to do this video because it is on my mind. Hi, my name is Gia, and the case for carrying lube in your purse, is it a handbag essential? Today, I'm going to explain to you what dry days are, and I don't know what you consider to be a handbag essential. It's frankly none of my business. If you are in the stages of getting intimate with someone on the fly and you're adventurous, I know who you are because I used to be you. Keep lube in your purse. Just do it. This isn't like just to keep things sexy, but this is to understand what's going on with your cycle, what's going on with your body as a female. Your partner will thank you for it. It's hard to be slick about it, no pun intended. If they ask you why you have lube, kind of like implying like you sleep around if you just started dating this person, simply answer, I wanted to thrill you today, something along the lines of that, as if you were planning to have with them in the first place. It's light, it's fun, it's sexy and colorful, just like you. However, if you're close with a person and you've been together for a while and they understand you and you can read each other's minds, you can explain to them that you're currently in the phase of the month where your body isn't producing as much natural lube, also known as mucus or discharge. These are called dry days. So this is when your body, or you need like a little extra work, exterior lubrication. This is because you might be in your follicular phase. I mean, the first 3 to 5 days of it, your luteal phase, or even your menstrual phase when you're trying to have sex. So I'm going to explain this real quickly. Follicular, the phase right after your period where you feel light and fresh and renewed. This is like when you're eating salads and suddenly I feel like a jog. And then your luteal phase is like 2 weeks long and it's before your period. You know when you're hormonal and you're like moody, where they say hormonal, you're always hormonal. Your body always has hormones going on. Even men are always hormonal. So when they just like use, oh, she's being like extra hormonal, that's like your PMS phase, your luteal phase. So if you have PMS, you're doing it wrong. You're doing womanhood wrong. I know it's like a whole thing. I'm going to explain it to you. So your luteal phase is the part when it's 2 weeks long before your period. So the first week is a bit lighter and you're still romantic and you're in the mood to talk with other people because it's right after your ovulatory phase. It's right before the first week of luteal. So ovulatory phase is when you're like really social and outgoing and you're talkative and people are magnetic to you. So that's the part when you want to be fertilized, biologically speaking. The first week of the luteal phase is, it can be dry, but this is the time to like have a lot of foreplay in your intimate life. It takes a little more work to get turned on, where the second phase of your luteal phase is when you are wanting to focus on really intense tasks or big projects. They need your full focus and concentration, and you don't want to talk with people. You don't want to have to explain yourself, and it's the time that you get irritable with something, and this is the time to voice your complaints if you have something you need to talk about with your partner. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a health expert, I'm not a biologist. I'm only married to one. I read a lot of books and I'm a human woman who has experienced and noticed this for years and has carefully observed it. But all the experts, please chime in. You're more than welcome. All the people who aren't experts, whatever like your situation is, leave your questions or leave your input below. This is a safe space and you're more than welcome to. Your menstrual phase is when you are bleeding and when your body is kind of organizing itself for fertility. And there are dry days in this part. I know it's like not obvious that they think, oh, this is the time I would be the most lubricated, where it's actually no, your body is not focusing on that. It's focusing on preparing for fertility. These are very basic and broad details about cycle syncing. This is a safe space. So if there are any days where you look in your underwear and it looks like you just straight up blew your nose into your underwear, that's perfectly healthy. That's fine. Congratulations. If you're a normal woman, if it's like too wet, if it's like you're walking and you noticeably feel that it's too wet, you probably need to wash a little bit more. Just stay away from sugar, carbs, alcohol, and wash yourself daily. And I don't mean go up in there with like a douche or anything. Wash the outside very gently with a very gentle cleanser. And the outside of your ladyhood is called your vulva. It's normal, it's healthy, and I love you and you have my full support. Something that really helps me is apple cider vinegar. So yeast hates vinegar. So how it works is yeast is always in your body. However, sometimes if you like take antibiotics, if you laser hair removal, if you laser like all the bacteria if it's destroyed, so you have like really good bacteria in your body that you need around. And if that gets destroyed, nothing fights off the yeast because it keeps it in check, it keeps it in balance with each other, but you always have yeast in your body. It's perfectly normal. Sometimes just things get out of balance. Like apple cider vinegar helps. Just as a heads up, apple cider vinegar, the Briggs one, is just like $3.40 or something for like a huge like 13-ounce thing. Don't buy those like $18 like gummies because it's so cheap when you go to the market and look for it. Even like the off-brand one, just take a tablespoon of it, dilute it in water or herbal tea, because like herbal tea, if it's really strong, can kind of complement the taste, where like if you just dilute it in water and just like take it back like a shot, you might have to be careful with that because it's still really strong. So dilute it with a lot of water. Don't, like, if you're strong enough to take it like a shot like I do just to get it over with, you still might get like nauseous or a headache because it's really, really strong. So just be careful. 1 tablespoon is fine. If you take a probiotic, I have some linked below that I personally use in case those sort of things happen. This should be more mainstream info because the woman's cycle, the woman's calendar, it's called the infradian rhythm. The men have the circadian rhythm where they wake up and that's the time for intercourse, and that's the time to get like their juices flowing for meetings. We do live in a man's world, a man's schedule, which is something we have to put up with, and it's slowly changing. Women's cycles aren't necessarily known. We're not all synced up either, so it's case by case. It's totally individual. The world would actually run more smoothly, and the problem I have with this is my mom, I didn't have a mom growing up. I had a stepmom who really hated me. And so she just hated everything I did. She would always say no. And to the point that I gave her my paper that the adults, the parents needed to sign off on our sex ed class. She never signed off on it, so I couldn't go. And I was literally the only person who was missing out. One day I got my period and she like yelled at me and screamed at me and it was like, how come you don't know anything about your period? Didn't they teach this to you in school? I'm like, yeah, if you signed the freaking paper, I would have known. Even then in the sex education class, I asked my friends, my peers, like, what did you learn? And they didn't learn this. So interestingly enough, the experts who are teaching their children, they're definitely teaching their daughters, but I would definitely teach this to my son too, so that if he has a girlfriend, he is more compassionate and can be supportive just in general. My husband's a biologist. My husband is a full-blown expert in microbiology specifically. He studied the full verse of humans and biology, and for millennia, we have not been testing females for a lot of medications, for a lot of different trials of different things, of different products, because it's so expensive just to test a fertile female for a whole month, because it's so much more time. They have just started doing it in the 80s, which blows my mind, because people remember the 80s where humans have been living since we couldn't remember for millennia. They've been only testing on menopausal women and men. So women who are basically on the men's schedule, who don't have to worry about the infradian rhythm anymore. So we're having a lot of moms who are not teaching their daughters the right information, and we're kind of like blindly going about it, learning things about the hard way. I have suffered for years. I have destroyed relationships. I have had a hard time at work. I have quit jobs because I didn't understand what was going on with my body, and I was very moody and I was treating everything around like it was rage. So I hope this helps you. I know that everybody's cycle looks different because I personally have a very different cycle. I was dating this guy for many years. We would be intimate only times when I was not on menstrual phase. He would say, okay, so every 28 days I have to log in my calendar this and this. The truth was, I didn't know this at the time, but I wasn't even 28 days is not every woman's cycle. So I was like 30 to 35 days, depending on how I treated each phase of my cycle, if I was being consistent in maintaining all the aspects of what needs to be maintained. The women have a lot on their plate just to begin with. It's just within the line to be 35 days. If you're past 35 days being your cycle, something might be up, or if you're like below 28 days, something also might be up. So if you're having a period that's for 2 days, you need to check with a doctor. Hopefully it's someone who understands cycle syncing and all the female hormones in general are just such a touchy subject because they have not mastered it yet. From my understanding, I am keeping my sleep, my nutrients, say like eating enough nutrients, because I used to be severely anorexic, my hydration, my exercise. If I'm keeping all of that up on each phase of the cycle of the whole month, then that's when I'm the most healthy. Each phase requires like different types of foods to keep your life up, I want to say. So socially, exercise, like socially, business wise, like at work, like with your family, with your friends, own productivity. All these things are dictated to how you treat each phase. I think sleep is one of the most important. You can go longer without food than you can without sleep without going crazy. So people get hangry, but that's like easy to fix. You just eat. Where sleep, your body just cannot function. Like personally, when I don't get enough sleep, I'm mean to everybody around me because I know like I screwed up my whole schedule for the day. Break out instantly. I gain weight so much faster. Like my breath is bad the whole day. Your body releases this chemical in your mouth when you sleep, where it protects your teeth while you're asleep. And it's like in your saliva, and it's really gnarly smelling, but that like stays for the whole day because your body is constantly pushing out things and it needs to like hold on to the nutrients as much as possible. So that's why you're gaining so much weight. So depending on how consistent I am is also dictates how consistent my monthlies are. I'll also create another video and link it below on how to cycle sync for like all around your life. Do you ever feel like when you're exercising, even though you've scheduled like an exercise class, if you ever had a PE class where like your body just felt heavy, like you were physically dragging yourself, you know that you're already in your workout gear, that you're ready to go, but like something is just telling you like, I do not want to do this particular exercise today. I do not want to run around. I do not feel light. Either do a completely different kind of exercise or just go home and work. Get organized. That's because that's your luteal phase. So I'll explain all of that in another video, and I'll link it below on how to cycle sync to make your life better. I hope this explained dry days to you. Give this a like or comment below, and share this with anybody who needs it. So send this into YouTube's algorithm and Google's so that anybody who needs this information can find it. Help all the women and the men in the world out by turning this into mainstream info. Also link my blog post below that accompanies this video so that you can handle each time of the month for you. And I hope this helps, and I'll see you soon.